Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorcom, which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out big news. With us today, as always, happy to have him back, Bernard Tudor, CEO of HPQ Silicon Resources, trades in Canada on the stock symbol HPQ, for friends in the US on the stock symbol HPQFF. For those who are new to the story, because we keep adding on shareholders and people watch the story, HPQ is a Canadian producer of innovative silicon solutions, and they're building a portfolio of unique, high-value specialty silicon products needed for the upcoming renewable energy revolution. They're accomplishing this through two innovative reactors that essentially permit the one-step transformation of quartz or other feedstock material into high-purity silicon and specialty silicon products. And they're doing that at significantly reduced costs, energy usage, and carbon footprint. More than just lip service, just some of the milestones of the multiple technologies they have in this space is first, their HPQ Nano side received their first order for spherical nano silicon material from a major automobile manufacturer. They also signed an NDA and received requests for 4N silicon material samples from a world-leading high-performance materials company. And they've got NDAs with multiple players, especially battery players. So they're doing great things. And the press we talked about today, HPQ Silicon PUREVAP Quartz Reduction Reactor update. Bernard, welcome back, my friend.
Welcome. I think we could have cut down the big news, just news update. You know, let's keep our shareholders updated. But
You're
the big news is coming. The big news is coming.
Is entering its most exciting R&D phase. So
I said when completed, but no, we're really entering. It's for that side of the project, the company, that's really going to be fun. That's like, I'm really waiting for that. For those that are registered to our mailing list, there's a bit of an extra for it that's in there. There's a picture of me within the power supply. So and shows you the idea of the size of that power supply. That thing is 8,000 amps. If Currents was there, I would not be there. I would not be alive if it was live on Current.
Yeah, stay alive until we start shipping product. Okay. So let's talk about
just then.
95% complete. Man, isn't 95% 100? Because it sounds like you're, I don't know, 2-3 weeks away from the sounds of it. 2-3-4 weeks away. Is there any cause for concern here, or because the rest of the work is in-house, you're just kind of giving everyone a kind of, a real-time update?
I felt some people were putting undue importance over this timing, and I was seeing market action by basically less than truthful people, making an over much ado about nothing. All right. Reality in English, end of Q1 is beginning of Q2. So it's like, it's within that one. Okay, being Francophone, when I said that, I did call a few Anglophones and asked them, end of Q1 means the beginning of Q2. Says, yeah, okay, so we're there. And it's
but critics aside,
well, it's not a question. It's a question of
you don't have any cause. There's no cause for concern. It's even from Peter's quote seems pretty standard.
There's no issue. This is probably the most non-news I issue. Okay, but I wanted to issue it for people to understand. Okay, that in what we do, timing are fluffy. Live with it. If you can't live with this, don't invest in a company that's doing what it is, because the moment we start hitting milestone, and we've been hitting milestone, it's going to be fast, it's going to be fierce, it's going to be big. So we're at 95% there, which is, rounded up to 100%. We were there. There's no issue. So at one point I said, okay, might as well give people, feeling everything is cool, because there was a feeling around this, and at the same time educate people with information that's in our presentation, which we're now entering the most exciting phase. Okay, that for me is the part that really excites me. Okay, there are now very clear milestone that we will reach with the QRR once functional, that are truly going to demonstrate and going to validate what we've been saying, that we're revolutionizing the manufacturing of silicon. Okay, that's the part that's going to be exciting. But I also wanted people to understand that since the beginning, we knew this phase would take up to 12 months. Okay, I think when we have discussion internally with Pyro,
So you're saying whether you're 2-3 weeks, whether you're 2-3 weeks off at the end of the Q, you're probably, or not probably, but you may end up being 2-3 weeks faster on the testing and all. At the end of the day, these 2-3 weeks, as Peter Pascali says, we look forward to providing an update on progress in the next 3 to 4 weeks. He also says, rest assured that the delays experienced to date are normal for a project of this type, and that this next milestone will complete the next step towards participant. So it sounds like it's all pretty normal, and it's not a perfect science.
This is why I thought I was laughing internally. This isn't a big news, okay? But it's a demonstration that we're getting there. It's a bit like when I was young, and I would, my car, my dad was driving us to somewhere. I keep bothering, are we there yet? He says, with every turn of the wheel, we're getting there. But eventually, at one point, you are there. It happens from you're not there to you are there. Okay, we're almost there. 95%, 100. It's almost the same thing, and I cannot wait until that starts. And I'm not the only one, guys. The pyro, everybody's at pyro. So it's just by an abundance of transparency. Okay, we prefer to say 95% completed. We need a few more weeks, then we're going to be starting the machine and it's going to go.
By the way, I did some math. Peter said this next milestone will complete the next step towards participating in a marketplace estimated by HPQ to be in excess of 3.8 million tons per year, worth over 10 billion US dollars by 2025. But quick math there, that's about $2,600 a ton. You've talked about prices being significantly higher, at least as the last interview we did. Has anything changed in pricing, or are you guys just kind of going off older pricing to be conservative?
Well, actually, this is the same quote I've been using for the last two years, okay? Because that came out of a study from CRU, one of the leading experts on the material. So the quote has always been in excess of or around, the original quote was around 10 billion. Because at that time it was around 8.5 billion, 9.5 billion. So we rounded it up to 10 billion. And I didn't feel like changing the quote, changing the material information, because the key point is the market is massive. But the reality is, if I'm using Ferroglobe's own number, okay, their Q3 numbers, it was 3,500. They got an average price for their material. So, that makes the market worth about, because the size of the market is not going to change, $13 billion. End of December, their number on their material is around $9,500 a ton. So that's a $36 billion market.
Yeah.
So what is the takeaway from this is you're talking about a massive market, okay? Our technology is going to completely revolutionize, change the system, okay? We're 95% there of getting the system functional, okay? Ready to start putting material and getting out the results. And we clearly put the milestone that we want to reach very, very succinctly.
Yep, we see all four of them. But devil's advocate, can you say that? Because I got to be devil's advocate, right? And don't be wrong. I think a lot of the viewers strongly believe in what you're doing, what you guys do with Pyrogenesis. But devil's advocate, can you be that sure that you are going to be that disruptive to the silicon space?
Okay, first point, and it's in our presentation. It's something we've discussed many times. At this specific moment, the traditional process to make silicon, only about 40% of the material that can come out of a traditional smelter, okay, is 2N plus purity. 2N plus purity is where the growth in silicon demand, so Si, is coming. Battery space requires 3 to 4N material. Okay, so it is presently impossible for traditional manufacturer to do in one step the materials for the battery guys. We are the only one with a tangible plan to reach that goal, and that's what's going to happen in the coming weeks. This being said, if that doesn't work, and we only make 2N, the market is still worth up between $13 billion to $36 billion. It needs new plant. Okay. So even though the costing evaluation we've made have gone up since we've done that in 2016, 17, and 18 because of inflation, everything that's going on, the same thing is happening to everybody. So the entire financial math of the industries has completely changed. The market is going to be driven by higher purity product. Battery space requires a very specific material. And you need to be able to offer traceability or scalability, because we're now in an environment where people do not want to be dependent on production in China or in any of those countries. So when you put all, and you add to this the ESG concept, because silicone is a sandwich material, all right? You put all those things together and you say, whoa, if I was a promoter, now I'll be running and buying myself Quartz property and calling about this. And then I would learn the entire process, which we've done for 7 years, and you can reach where we are. You understand what I'm saying? We're so advanced because of everything we've done before that the QRR now really becomes our primary focus. We've also come to realize that there is some battery materials we can do, because when we do 4N, because we're going to do it for silicon nitride, we're going to do 4N, then we can mill it down, basically outsource it, or basically at the beginning, we can do deals with third parties for them to make it into powders, okay? And then you get a material for batteries. But these guys can't do it on a regular basis. The problem is, for everybody who wants to do 4N, you always end up buying the end of batches of somebody else's solar production.
But to be clear, that's not HPQ outsourcing.
That's I'm talking
that's a Georgecom Silicon wants to
that's
get
Georgecom Silicon.
Any
Any other silicone for battery material, okay, have that issue. So they're gonna, so the car manufacturers, the buyers, okay, want complete traceability from beginning to end.
Why is that, by the way? Why is it? This is like diamonds, where you're afraid that they may be blood diamonds, children who are slave labor.
CO2 footprint.
Okay.
CO2 footprint. There's a massive difference between silicone made in China with regard to the CO2 footprint and CO2 made in Canada or in Sweden or in Finland, where they have hydropowers. Okay. That silicone, basically, we're talking about 4 or 5 grams of CO2 release per 1 gram of SI made. Okay. You go to Germany, it goes up to 80 grams because they use gold. You go to China, it's 110. So it plays how the energy, because making silicone is an extremely energy intensive industry. So this is where everything plays into it. Us being located in Quebec gives us the advantage of having access to cheap hydroelectricity.
Going back to traceability for a second, even if the Chinese manufacturers could provide traceability, I have to assume that that'll come with a grain of salt, some questioning, because unfortunately, it's been proven, we've seen, that's why so many Chinese stocks took a big hit. NASDAQ delistings 10 years ago, when they weren't being truthful about their actual orders and deliveries and manufacturing and so on and so forth. So do you think you have an even, how big of an advantage do you think that HPQ has on the ESG side, on the traceability side?
Well, I think we have a big one, like all producers that are in outside of China have over traceability, but we're also going to have sort of like favorite status. Okay, the argument I'm having with Americans right now is it's very nice that you guys want and even the European want to do this, that you want to repatriate the production of microchip. But if you don't repatriate the entire value chain from making the silicone to purifying the polysilicon, you're still as dependent and still the same risk factor. We're seeing also in the US, in the solar industry now, that the US government is waking up to the concept that, China was sending material to Taiwan, not to Taiwan, to Vietnam, to make those supposedly Chinese solar cells palpable. So as they're going to take a look at this, and as we're going to move more and more with the overall CO2 pictures, is going to move. We're also entering in an area where the regulators are very aware of what's called greenwashing.
Greenwashing?
Greenwashing, which is basically a company basically, buying its own virtue by paying amount of money to say that we're green. So, somebody will write us a bad, we'll fudge the number on our green process. So that's becoming very serious. This is where traceability becomes very, very important. Have a party that's very serious with regard to traceability, which is what we're going to be offering. So all the market dynamics are incredibly perfect.
Is there any, let me ask you this question. Are there any weaknesses right now in what you guys are doing? Are there any cause for concern, or is it just a case of are you basically saying HPQ silicon is going to be very successful in the silicon space? It's just a question of degree, not if anymore.
I think, to be truly honest, okay, this is why I'm saying this is the most exciting R&D phase. When we complete this R&D phase, we will be in that position. So it's finally the phase, because this is the biggest scaling up we're doing. Okay, I think it's 250 times scaling up the size. So we're going from a washer dryer side to a house size system. All the other scaling up are, by a factor of 10 to 20. So it's a much controllable scaling up event. So this is why I said it's the most exciting one. As all the guys at Pyro, they're all the same guys that were there that built the first waste destruction system for the U.S. military, the U.S. Air Force many years ago. So it's like everybody's very confident that we're going to get it to work. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
By the way, in the press release, you said during the testing phase, the next 12 months, producing silicon material sought after by battery makers and high value application manufacturers. So samples will be going out during that next phase, correct?
Yep. I'm not giving timelines.
How's that? How's demand for something? I can't say off the record. We're videotaping here, but without being
everybody shut up. I'm going to talk to George now privately. Don't listen.
So I'll do this. Okay, Bernard. So without being specific,
just between you and me,
without being specific beyond what you've already announced, are you finding that you always said that interest would always grow because the market will find HPQ, and you've been right all along. Has that only continued to grow? Because even just a while ago, you said, when I argue with my with some Americans, so obviously you're having discussions.
No, the fundamental dynamics is as follows, okay? My end clients are going to sign, which eventually we will sign offtake agreement, okay, are big boys. They're not puny companies. So I have to get my project advanced enough to a position where I will get a bidding war between those big boys. Because when that happens, because I've reached those, if I reach a 4 goal I've set out in the press release, okay, then it'll become very interesting, even before we get our nano reactor working, because I'll be resolving the feedstock issue for everybody else. Okay. For the 5 to 10% silicone addition to batteries, okay, it's a known process to do. It's not very economically viable for the long term. So we need our nano reactor to really reach that goal. But it'll be there for the beginning.
And how's that looking? Where are you with the nano reactor?
It's advancing. I'm actually very confident about where we're going with it. Okay, for very tons of reasons that are I prefer not to address at this time. But I'm very confident at the end result. Okay, I have no doubt about the end result. It's just the in between steps there. But it's not even it's normal, because what we're trying to do, nobody can do. And that's the key point. I'm not trying to make silicone material that can work in a batteries theoretically and look good, and then you can't reproduce it at commercial scale. My obsession with regard to that project is being the lowest cost manufacturer of nano silicone. Since I know that I'm the lowest producer of the feedstock, I'm pretty relaxed about it. If that was the only thing I was doing, then I'd be stressed. But it's part of a feed, and the entire dynamics of the industries have been completely blown apart in the last 12 months. We went from solar grade silicon going from $8 to $40 a kilogram, silane gas going from a few dollars to mega dollars. Barriers to entries, incapacity to meet demand. In a market that's going to demand 400 massive amount of qualities. Everywhere it's written, okay? Car manufacturers are in a bad position. They'll need to control their entire material chain. How did Tesla succeed? It signed a secret deal to control nickel before nickel took off. The same thing is going to happen to silicon. So because we have the entire value chain, this is where the QRR is so important, because it's sort of like, it's what gives us an extra bonus for the rest of it. And the beauty of it is that extra bonus is sort of like, if the nano silicone theoretically doesn't work, which I do not foresee happening, okay, we would still have the silicone industry that's massive, you know, between $13 billion to $36 billion a year.
So it's not a question. So you're pretty confident it's no longer a question of if. So you can see success. It's only a case of degree of success now.
George, my answer was very specific. I have to be very specific for two reasons. A, we're an R&D project and we get R&D credit. Okay. If I was to say at this specific moment that there's no risk, I would get no R&D credit. So you have to understand that everything I say can be and will be used against me in a court of fiscal law. But the point I've said very clearly is if we meet the 4 objectives I set up, or probably we meet 3 of the 4 objectives we set up, okay, then what you've said, the statement you said is accurate, but we haven't done that yet.
Will you, how far into the 12 months of testing? I'm just, you know,
I'm not even going to enter there.
Because no matter what, I can feel people are going to be asked that. Like, are we going to be waiting until March, you know, or April 15th, 2023? Do we have to wait till the last day, or will we have a pretty good idea by the halfway mark?
I basically, when you're building a system, you're building a system. It's like looking at paint dry. Okay. When you have a system like this, we have a good idea how it's supposed to operate. Okay. I can't wait for us to have our first pour of material. I can't wait for us to take that material and send it to laboratories, figure out what's the purity of it. I can't wait for all those little issues. And that's going to give me material for a guy like me who likes to come on your show and, you know, talk about what we've done. It's not the same thing as building a plant, building a system where there is maybe 1,000 different pieces that have to work together. Okay. And make them work at a specific time, as opposed to one system working. That's the difference.
When you finally, when you put out that press release says 100% done, and we're now, any chance we'll get maybe a visual, or even invite a couple of people in to take a look at the setup?
I'm still pretty cautious about this, but if eventually we'll have a video of or probably our first pour or second and third pour of silicone, because I'm pretty sure at the first pour they probably want the minimum amount of people, because, you know, the temperature there is pretty hot. We're talking about, you know, in the crucible, within the crucible, it's going to be about 1,000 degrees or, you know, Celsius, and the outside wall have been cooled down to 200 degrees centigrade.
Wow.
So, you know, you don't want to bring too many people. Let me get closer. I'll pass on. And imagine when it's going to be 30 degrees in Montreal, we're going to have that system going. It's like, okay, sweat shower. So, but I'm just saying that it's going to happen. Like, once minus 40 is better, but
could this potentially be a major coup for the Quebec government, as a major feather in their cap, if their investment in HPQ and and in the nano division, if all this works out. So now, I guess my question is, how closely is the government keeping in touch with you in terms of progress and how it's going? And is there a level of excitement, or are they more laissez-faire, let us know when you're ready?
I'm more of the attitude that I prefer that they laissez-faire right now. But they put our name in the silicone companies out there. They put our the same name as Spherical, as Alchem, even Tesla, not Tesla, but Techna.
Was that a Freudian slip?
No, that was not a Freudian slip. That's basically my bad pronunciation.
Okay.
I do not do Freudian slip over cars.
Because it was, I guess, I would have had to edit it. So now we have to be back.
No, I was thinking Techna, and the two names sound alike.
All right, last words, Bernard, because I guess from what Peter says, what you're saying here, Peter says we look forward to providing an update on progress within the next 3 to 4 weeks. Could it be sooner? I guess it means it could be sooner, but that's the outside range.
George, it was so close, 95 to 100%, okay, that even I think 3 weeks ago, we thought we would be able to make it. Now, so it's like Peter put the 3 to 4 weeks, I put weeks. One of us is going to be right.
All right, my man. Well, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for shedding light on this. Again, any last words? Because I'm not sure if it's 3 4 weeks, we may not have you on unless you have other news coming out. But what's the overriding message?
Oh my God, 3 4 weeks without me talking
for your shareholders.
Last word. The best time is coming. And they'll have other opportunity to hear me because as I think I've stated, I want to be more active in doing promotion, getting people to understand where we are. Because I think once the pilot plant is functional, it's going to be fun. I've been having to push back big investors that, waiting until we finish the change of business, all those issues. So if I'm not doing marketing, I'm doing boring administrative work that's required. So love you.
All right, my man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for putting some color on this, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Hopefully sooner than later. Hopefully Peter's the right one.
Could be.
Everybody at home, you've been watching, or if you're listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform, to Bernard Tudillon. He's a CEO at HPQ Silicon Resources, trades in Canada under HPQ, and for our friends in the US, HPQFF. Get to Agoracom for those of you who are new, to get to their profile page, to do your initial due diligence, because there's a lot going on here. I mean, like Bernard's been saying, these are brand new processes, brand new technology. And then when you're ready from there, hop over to the company's website to do your deep dive due diligence. Make sure you look at the investor presentation. And on top of that, make sure you go through the video version of the investor presentation we did as well in order to do your deep dive due diligence. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.